Alright, for this activity, it's called Compass and Wire. And these are the items that you should have at your table. You've got just a regular plain old compass right here with a colored end of the needle. On this one, the end is white. Some of them may be red. You have a block with 2 screws and a wire stretched across it. And then you have this battery in a battery case. Now I want to point out to you, on your battery, this end with the little knob is your positive end. The flat side is your negative end. And if you look inside the little holder, it's also marked positive and negative. So always make sure that your battery is put into the holder correctly. I'm going to set my battery aside, and I'm going to start with number 1. Follow along with me. Do the activity along with me. Pause when you need to, and as always, ask questions if there's anything that you don't understand. Number 1, place the compass on the wood block under the wire. So I'm going to just slide it underneath the wire just like that. Rotate the compass so that north and south are lined up underneath the wire. So this is the only part where I'm moving my physical compass itself. You can see the wire here, north and south there. Now rotate the entire block until the compass needle is pointing north. So I'm not going to move my compass. I'm going to look at the colored end of my needle and turn the whole block until that needle is pointing north. Now at this point, if you need to make any additional adjustments to make sure that your north and south are still lined up under your wire, do that. But you should be ready to go right now. Number 2 says, on your half sheet for question 1, draw the block and compass as if you were looking down on it from above. Leave space to add your battery to the diagram. So I've already drawn mine in, and you can see that my picture is not oriented exactly like my actual compass. So you can draw it straight up and down, or you can draw it at an angle so that it matches your actual setup, whichever is easiest for you. Number 3 says, touch the metal ends of your battery holder to the screws. Watch what happens to the compass needle. Remember, you're looking at the colored side. It will be fast. So I'm going to bring this over, and I'm going to bring my battery in from this side. And all I'm going to do is take the metal ends on these wires here, and I'm going to touch them to the metal posts right here. Now watch what happens to my compass needle. Now mine is spinning, but if you watch as it stabilizes, whoops. Spinning for a minute there. There we go. It's turning toward the battery. So essentially it's pointing to the east. Move the battery away from the wood block over here so we don't just keep the magnet spinning. On your half sheet, add the battery. Be sure to label the positive and negative ends to your diagram. Okay, so we have my battery again. I can turn it to be facing the same direction as my actual setup. I've got my positive and negative end of the battery marked. So I'm going to move this out of the way because the rest of what we're going to do is on the diagram itself. So the second part of number 4 says to add an arrow indicating which direction your compass needle moved. So remember, my compass needle pointed east, so I'm just going to draw my compass arrow. Basically, it turned to where it was pointing toward my battery. And I had my positive end of the battery on the same side as the north end the north marking on my compass. So that's a good way to help orient it as well. And like I said, I know that my compass needle pointed toward the east. Number 5 says, on your diagram, draw arrows to indicate the direction of the current and the magnetic field, blue for current, red for magnetic field, and explain how you determined the direction. Now, in your circuits notes, it talks about the direction of current. So it comes out of the positive, loops around, and into the negative end. Okay? So all we really care about is where it's crossing the wire. So in this case, it's coming out of here and around, and as it crosses the wire, is going in this direction, and we're going to label that I. So our current is flowing this way on our wire. Now, using our right hand rule, you should be able to tell me which way the magnetic field is pointing because of where the compass arrow went. But using the right hand rule, okay, my right hand, thumb is the current, so if the current is pointing down toward the bottom of my page, my magnetic field wraps in a loop around the wire. Okay? Now it's wrapping underneath the wire and pointing in this direction. So my magnetic field is going this way, the same direction that my compass needle is pointing. Second part of number 2 on your paper says to explain how you determined that. So you can talk about what it says in your notes. You can also talk about the right hand rule. According to the right hand rule, this is what it should be. Now, number 6 in your instructions says turn the entire battery around so that the positive and negative ends are flipped from before. So we'll move this out of the way. Put my compass back under here and get it oriented as well. Now remember, before I had the positive end of my battery on the same side as the north marking on my compass. So now I'm going to take positive and put it on the same side as the south end of my compass. And if you look, you can see that now the compass needle is pointing west. Okay? So in this case, now my current is going the opposite direction, which means that my magnetic field is going the opposite direction as well. In the instructions on your half sheet, answer question number 3, and that is just explaining what you just did. When you turn the battery around, what happened, and then explain why this occurred. For fun, with your partner, try this. Have one person hold your compass on top of the wire, and then the other person touch the battery, and see what that does to your compass needle, and see how it is the same or different from what you expect. Then see if you can figure out why that is. Make sure you've answered all the questions, labeled your diagram properly, and then move on to the second part of today's lab.